The Hallecrest mansion slept under a velvet silence, its marble floors reflecting the faint glow of the moonlight drifting through tall windows. It was close to 2 a.m. when Adrian Thorne, billionaire, hotel mogul, and a man known for his unshakable composure, returned home unexpectedly from an overseas trip. He wasn't supposed to be back for another 3 days, and the staff had long since retired to their quarters. He had meant to walk straight to his study, sort through a few urgent documents, maybe pour himself a quiet drink before trying to rest. But as he closed the front door behind him, he froze. There it was, a sound that didn't belong to the mansion's stillness. Soft crying, barely audible, carried on the faintest tremor of breath. Not the loud, anguished sobs of someone breaking apart, but the restrained, fragile weeping of someone who didn't want to be heard. Adrian's brows knit together. He wasn't easily startled. He had spent his life navigating ruthless markets, political storms, and suffocating expectations. But something about that thin, quivering sound unsettled him. Crying at this hour, in his home? He took a step forward, listening carefully. The sound came again, soft, shaky, as if buried behind the thick drapes hanging near the hallway, leading to the guest salon. He moved quietly, instinctively gentler than usual, as though any heavy footstep might frighten whoever was hiding. As he approached, the crying grew clearer, then abruptly stopped. A sudden inhale, sharp and fearful, pressed into the stillness. Someone knew he was there. Adrian slowly pulled the curtain aside. Behind it, curled into herself on the floor, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 10. Her knees were hugged tightly to her chest, her small hands gripping the fabric of her sleeves. Her hair dark, tangled, and slightly damp from tears framed a face, pale with fear and exhaustion. The moment she saw Adrian, she flinched so hard she nearly hit the wall behind her. "I am sorry," she whispered, voice cracking. "I didn't mean to. I'll go. Please don't be mad." Adrian immediately crouched down, lowering himself to her eye level. "Hey," he said softly, "you're not in trouble." She didn't seem convinced. Her wide eyes glimmered with panic, darting around the room as though searching for an escape. "What's your name?" he asked gently. The girl hesitated, then wiped her cheek with the back of her trembling hand. "Lucia," she murmured. "Lucia, a quiet, delicate name." "And your mother?" he asked. She lowered her gaze. "Maria. She cleans the rooms, and sometimes the kitchen. She said I could wait in the staff area, but I got scared when the lights flickered. I didn't mean to be here." Her voice shook. "Please don't fire her." Adrian felt something inside him shift uneasy, tight, unfamiliar. He knew Maria, a devoted worker, soft-spoken, careful, always arriving before dawn, leaving after the halls were already dark. He had never once seen her without tired eyes, yet she never complained. He hadn't known she had a daughter. He hadn't known her daughter had been here crying alone, behind a curtain while the mansion slept. "It's okay," he murmured. "You didn't do anything wrong." But Lucia shook her head, tears welling again. "Mama says we can't bother anyone. She says people like you don't like noise." Adrian inhaled sharply. People like him. He had heard versions of that sentiment before, from workers who bowed too deeply, from employees who apologized for simply existing in a room he entered. But hearing it from a trembling child felt different, felt wrong. "Lucia," he said softly, "why were you crying?" Her small fingers tightened around her sleeves. She hesitated for a long moment, her lips trembling as if she was afraid her voice might betray her mother. Finally, she whispered, "Because I'm scared to sleep alone. I always sleep next to Mama, but tonight she said I couldn't. She said the manager didn't like kids in the staff room anymore." Adrian stiffened. The manager had made that change last month, something about professional boundaries. Adrian had signed off on the report without reading the fine details. He suddenly wished he had. "And she promised she'd be off early," Lucia continued, her voice cracking. "But they made her clean 2 extra wings. I waited and waited, but she didn't come. The lights kept going dark, and the mansion was so big and quiet." A tear slid down her cheek. "I thought maybe she forgot me." Forgot me. Adrian's chest tightened in a way he couldn't control. "Your mother didn't forget you," he said immediately. "She's working because she wants to take care of you." Lucia nodded slowly, but her next words made his breath catch. "That's why I was crying," she whispered. "Not because I'm scared, but because Mama is getting sick from working too much. She hides it. She pretends not to cough when people look." Her voice trembled. "She thinks if she misses a shift, she'll lose her job." Adrian felt his heart drop, heavy and sickening. "And I..." Lucia's voice grew even softer. "I tried to help. I picked up towels. I folded sheets. But the manager yelled at me and told me to stay hidden. He said rich people don't want to see kids working." She looked up at Adrian, then really looked, and her words pierced straight through him. "Is he right?" she whispered. "Do rich people not want kids like me here? Am I a problem?" Adrian stared at her, stunned. He had been called ruthless, calculating, cold. But nothing had ever cut so sharply as hearing a child question her own worth because of decisions made in buildings he owned. "No," he said, voice low, steady, and unlike any tone he had used in years. "You are not a problem, and whoever made you think that was wrong, very wrong." Lucia blinked at him, hope flickering painfully, cautiously, as if she didn't trust it, and Adrian knew in that moment that her words would stay with him long after this night, haunting him. Adrian remained crouched in front of Lucia, the weight of her small, trembling voice still pressing heavily against his chest. He had built empires, negotiated with governments, and risen through a world that demanded steel hearts. But none of it prepared him for the sight of a frightened girl thinking her existence was an inconvenience. "Lucia," he said gently, "you should never have been left alone like this, and you should never have been made to feel unwanted." She lowered her head again, her fingers twisting the fabric of her pajama sleeves. "Mama says we have to be invisible, that if people notice us, they get upset." Adrian swallowed hard. Invisible, hidden. A child forced into shadows to avoid disturbing a world she had no power in. "Come," he murmured, "let's find your mother." He extended his hand. Lucia hesitated, studying his face as if searching for any hint of judgment. When she found none, she slipped her small hand into his. It was cold, too cold. They walked quietly through the hallway, her steps uncertain, his steady. When they reached the service wing, Adrian heard faint coughing echoing behind one of the supply doors. Lucia's grip tightened. "That's Mama." Adrian pushed open the door. Maria was there, leaning over a cart, shoulders shaking, with another cough she was desperately trying to suppress. Her complexion was pale, exhaustion etched into every line of her face. When she saw her daughter, her eyes widened in disbelief, then fear. "Lucia?" she breathed, voice breaking. "What? Oh no!" She looked at Adrian, panic flooding her expression. "Sir, I'm sorry. She was supposed to stay in the back. Please don't fire me. Adrian shook his head at once. Maria, stop. You're not losing your job. She froze, breath hitching. But she wasn't supposed to be. She was alone, Adrian cut in gently. Terrified, crying, hiding behind a curtain because she thought being seen would get you in trouble. He stepped closer. She shouldn't be carrying that fear. Maria's lips trembled. Tears filled her tired eyes. I didn't want to bring her today. She's been having nightmares. I couldn't leave her alone. The manager said no children in the lounge anymore. I didn't know where to put her. Please understand, I'm trying. I know you are, Adrian said quietly, and you shouldn't be punished for it. He glanced around the small room, dim lights, stacks of linens, cleaning supplies. This was where she had been working long past her shift, pushing herself through sickness because she feared the consequences of slowing down. Maria, he continued, voice firm but compassionate. Starting tomorrow, your schedule changes. Fewer night shifts, more support. And your daughter will have a safe, warm room whenever she needs to wait for you. Both mother and daughter stared at him, stunned. I don't know what to say, Maria whispered, a tear sliding down her cheek. You don't have to say anything, Adrian replied. Just let yourself breathe. Lucia stepped closer to her mother, placing a hand over hers. Mama, he's nice. Maria let out a choked laugh, half disbelief, half relief. Yes, mija, I think he is. Adrian wasn't used to being called nice, or kind, or anything close to gentle. But in that moment, hearing it from a girl who had been taught to hide her very presence, something inside him softened in a way he didn't fully understand. You both go home, he said softly. I'll have someone drive you. Maria shook her head weakly. Sir, you don't need to. I want to, Adrian said. Lucia looked up at him, her expression finally free of fear. Thank you, she whispered, for finding me. He felt those words settle deep, quiet, heavy, unforgettable. Long after they left the mansion, Adrian remained standing in that hallway, replaying everything she had said. Rich people don't want kids like me here. Am I a problem? I thought Mama forgot me. Those words would return to him again and again, haunting him in the quiet moments, reshaping the way he saw his home, his staff, and himself. For the first time in years, Adrian realized something. He had built a world of power and silence, but tonight, a child hiding behind a curtain had taught him how deeply his silence mattered.